Coming up on the bottom line, county officials say preparations to repair the Silver Spring Transit Center are progressing. Councilmember Valerie Irvin hosts a screening of a film that highlights the human toll of poverty and how a former council member hit a home run when he brought college baseball to Montgomery County. Thanks for watching, everyone. We begin this time with an update on the Silver Spring Transit Center. Repairs are scheduled to begin next month on the structure. However, officials say they want additional tests on the facility before that work begins.
And refocus on trying to resolve this in a proper manner.
WMATA officials were present for Tuesday's briefing at the council office building, where General Services Director David Dyes assured council members his office is working closely with WMATA to allay any concerns with the structure.
WMATA has expressed its reservation regarding the remediation design. As I said, they still prefer the complete concrete removal, but again, we hearken back to their initial concerns regarding remedial or residual damage resulting from that. And KCE, our special consultant, continues to work with WMATA staff on those issues.
The county has a memorandum of understanding with WMATA that states the agency will operate the facility once it opens. However, the agency has expressed concerns with the safety and longevity of the transit center. Council members say they believe WMATA should honor the MOU once the facility is complete and up to standards.
What is WMATA's position with regards to the operation? Obviously, you've said you're willing to operate, but also the maintenance.
At this point in time, we haven't seen those test results. The testing has not been completed, so we're in no position to decline or accept any proposal.
Repair work on the $120 million structure is scheduled to begin next month. County officials say they are optimistic once the work is complete, the Silver Spring Transit Center will be the signature transportation hub it was originally designed to be.
We will fix what is done. All construction projects suffer challenges in various respects. They are fixed just like that. We will fix these, and we will attest to Metro under the MOU that it is in compliance and structurally safe.
Pedestrian-related accidents here in Montgomery County are on the rise. In the first 6 months of this year, the number of pedestrian collisions has almost doubled from last year. Recently, plainclothes police officers conducted a series of pedestrian stings to focus on those drivers who are not yielding to pedestrians who are lawfully crossing the street. The bottom line, to raise awareness for folks in cars and on foot.
We're conducting what's called a pedestrian sting enforcement operation, where we have officers that are posing as pedestrians wearing high visible yellow t-shirts, lawfully crossing the road in the crosswalk, and the drivers by Maryland law are required to stop and yield to the pedestrians when they're in this situation. We've had incidents of people not yielding to pedestrians here, so the county and the state have put in a high incident beacon crossing walk. So it's a crosswalk with flashers on either side of it to give drivers notice that their pedestrians are crossing, as well as additional signage that tells them that they must yield to pedestrians in a crosswalk. But we've had many complaints of people not yielding to pedestrians. And when you're going at a speed limit of 45 miles an hour and you strike a pedestrian, nothing but bad things occur. Pedestrian enforcement, although very important, is not heavily enforced. We have a team of officers out specially set aside to conduct this enforcement.
One of the problems is we're always running calls, so we can't take the time to actually stop them because we're going to a call. But there is a lot of violations, and people are getting killed, hit, hurt, everything. And this is just to let the drivers know you need to pay a lot more attention to your driving. My job is to catch violators that are not yielding to pedestrians in the crosswalk, trying to make it safer for the pedestrians across the road that are doing it legally. The female violator I just had said, I never saw them. I said, well, they were there. And the problem is they're not paying attention to their driving. They are really just, they're on autopilot to go to wherever they're going to. And they're not paying attention to pedestrians, and there's a lot more pedestrian traffic totally in this area. So.
Well, did you see the last one? They were flying. I was like, I'm getting out of their way.
I saw.
The violation, when you fail to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk, it's an $80 1-point violation. And so we're issuing all drivers that fail to yield to our pedestrian crossers that citation. They'll be pulled over, issue the citation, and hopefully reinforce the message that you must yield to the pedestrian in the crosswalk. You know, we have like 7 guys here, so we have like 8 violations in less than an hour. That's, you know, shows that the complaints were valid.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll have to come back again, and maybe when it gets into the news, they'll recognize and voluntarily comply.
We'll see.
The pedestrian sting was a success. In 2.5 hours, the police cited 72 drivers for failing to stop for a pedestrian crossing the roadway in a crosswalk. There is no denying that former County Councilmember Bruce Adams loves baseball. After serving 8 years on the council, Adams wrote a book called Fodar's Baseball Vacations. And while attending a series of amateur league games in the Shenandoah Valley, he learned of a league for college players in the Washington area. That's when Bruce Adams got the idea for a college team in Montgomery County, which would become the Bethesda Big Train, named after legendary pitcher and county resident Walter Johnson.
We thank all fans for joining us for our 15th summer of great baseball and family entertainment.
Come up to see Matt Gill pitch tonight.
All right.
It'll be a great fun time.
We know you'll have a terrific night here at the park, and please do not hesitate to let us know if there's anything we can do to make your experience better.
And the home of the brave.
This is your field of dreams. Tell me how it came to fruition.
So many people love baseball, and so we would go into business owner after business owner and say, this is what we're trying to do, and they would go, how much do you need?
15 years or 16 years ago, you dragged me into a meeting and said, hey Phil, I just want to build this little, box, like a little bit of clubhouse, and throw a little grass down and make a baseball field, and look what's here.
And our dream of a community-oriented baseball really touched people as genuine and really what people wanted. Something closer to home, something really genuine. Not the steroids, not the big money, not the Steinbrenner, but a real community baseball setting. We started in a league called the Clark Griffith League that had 5 or 6 teams. It was mostly in Northern Virginia. They didn't have any fans. And now we ended up creating our own league, and now there's 12 teams, and 4 of them are right here in Montgomery County. That's the genius of summer college baseball, is even though these guys have just played 60 baseball games all spring in college, they want to get in a plane and get to a place where they can play 50 more games, but with the wooden bat. Because the scouts want to see how do they hit with a wooden bat, and they want to see how the pitchers pitch to the wooden bat. About a quarter of these guys sign a pro contract after college, want to play in the pros, and so they come to here. This is a nice setting. The ballpark's usually full. There's a lot of enthusiasm. They're signing autographs. It feels like what they've seen when they were growing up, when they went to a minor league game, and they come back. Coach, we want to come back. This is great.
Now, talk about these fans. There are a lot of folks here tonight, and we look like we're quite a mix. So this is like a slice of apple pie in the middle of suburbia USA, right. Montgomery County, and that to me seems like what makes it so irresistible.
A guy came up to my partner John Orsman the first year and said, Johnny, when I come out to Povich Field, I feel like I live in a small town. Yeah. And when John told me that, I was like, that's what we were trying to do. It's the sense of community. You're really close to the action wherever you sit. There's great food. We've got all these wonderful, the Lido pizzas and the Honest Teas of Montgomery County are all here, and it just it feels like a small town.
You've done an amazing job here, and obviously it makes a lot of folks happy, and that's what's great.
There is nothing that I've done. I mean, I love the Capitol Crescent Trail, and I'm proud of stopping smoking in shared workplaces and all these different things that you can do on the county council. But there isn't one thing where people come to you just over and over again and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, this is so great. My kid loves this. I've never had anything as rewarding as this.
You can catch a Bethesda Big Train baseball game at Shirley Povich Field at Cabajod Regional Park until the end of July. Earlier this year, Councilmember Valerie Irvin led a 5-day challenge to eat on $5 a day to encourage residents and her colleagues to see what it's like to live on a limited food budget. The week-long Snap the Silence effort drew hundreds of participants. This month, as an outgrowth of that conversation, Councilmember Irvin hosted a screening of HBO's documentary An American Winter as part of her continued effort to combat poverty and assist working families.
Tonight we're at the AFI Silver Theater in downtown Silver Spring, district that I represent, and we're here to screen a documentary called American Winter. And we're very excited because this documentary was first debuted on HBO in the middle of March, and I heard about it, and I called the producers, the Gantz brothers, and asked if we could show the film. This film takes place in the winter of 2012 in Portland, Oregon, and it is a story of 4 families who fell on some hard times, but it's a story of so many families across the nation that if one person loses their job, then their house is in jeopardy, or if someone falls ill and they don't have health insurance, then their entire lives fall apart. And it's a story of how these families who have never had to call for assistance had to find their way through the nonprofit sector, the safety net, through government assistance for the very first time. This film, American Winter, is just an outgrowth of a conversation that we started back in February on something we called Snap the Silence Against Poverty, where hundreds of Montgomery County residents took the challenge to live on $5 worth of food a day, which is similar to what people on food stamp benefits live on. And it was a very enlightening experience for myself and all the hundreds of my friends and residents of Montgomery County to sort of begin this conversation about why we should care. And so we hope that this is enlightening to people. We hope that that people don't leave here sad, but they leave here encouraged to do something about it.
Every year, starting in May, Brookside Gardens hosts its Wings of Fancy Butterfly Show. The exhibit features butterflies from around the world that are on display in a beautiful flower-filled conservatory. But before they are released into this tropical paradise, they are lovingly nurtured from the earliest stages of development.
Brookside Gardens gets butterflies from all around the world, and we started getting imported species. We had to enclose a section of this little office. So our receiving room here is built for us to receive our packages of pupa and hang them just in this screened-in room. So I've just opened up the beautiful monarch chrysalises. I'm coming to those in my package. Yeah, so you can see these are some of the showiest North American chrysalises that we get. So the gold shininess there is thought to startle the predator, and they may run away instead of eating this wonderful little source of protein, this little meaty morsel. You can see how we've hung the chrysalises on these boards. It really mimics the way a caterpillar leaves its host plant and then anchors in the wild. So the pupa are pinned here to hang down just like a chrysalis generally does in the wild. It's time for us to get our transport cage out, and I will carry them into the flight house and release them into the butterfly house. There's one in there, and let's get this little green-winged butterfly to jump in. We can get them on a brush. Let's see, yeah, it's nice and still. What a beautiful, beautiful butterfly.
the Wings of Fancy exhibit will be on display until September 22nd. That's the bottom line for this week. I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.